Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
So let me get this straight, because we're 3 years into this now.
Are you confused again?
Are we in our third year, or we're 3 years into it, or whatever?
Yeah, we're in our third year.
And is it .coffee.com, or how does that work?
Dude, come on, man. It's Sober.Coffee.
All right. We are just cooler
No.com. We are on the frontiers. In fact, I think our website costs like 99 cents because nobody
else wanted it.
Nobody was using .coffee. So
Right,
who
figure.
in the world would use that? I'm like, that is perfect for us.
That's
Sober.Coffee.
That's right.
What's up, my brother?
Hey, man. Just
good to be in
good to be in the coffee shop again, for sure. Yeah, it's
coffee
good
shop
stuff.
with a bunch of mics and a barista, sexy barista, Brian.
Yeah, Brian
Thanks,
rocks.
Brian, for all your help, man.
Yeah, guess what we got today? Not a table for three, right, which should be a bonus.
Right.
We got a table for four today.
No way, man.
I know.
Where did we come up with a budget for a table for four?
I know. Well,
where did that come from?
Everyone's buying their own Java today, so.
Yeah, so let me tee this up. So
Okay.
we are out there on this stuff called social media, right? Some people have heard of it, some haven't. We're not on TikTok yet, right?
You go on TikTok, you hyper techno.
No, I'm on TikTok from a Sober Anonymous.
Okay.
But we're on Twitter. We're on Instagram.
Yeah.
And so we get people that reach out, want to, A, sell us everything. B, they want to, charge us $200 to promote us, or C, they want to get their products and stuff on our show, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, 99.9% of the time, we say no, We don't need lingerie, we don't need sober lingerie, right?
That's just a bad thought, right?
Right. We just don't need sober lingerie. But these two guys from SillySips Coffee reached out, and we bantered back and forth. And what a relevant,
yes,
right, product, coffee.
Yeah.
And as we got to know them, veterans, sobriety, they do great stuff. So I'm like, you know what? Let's bring them on.
That's pretty cool. So welcome, Kyle and Josh. How are you,
Kyle
man?
and Josh from SillySips Coffee.
Thank you. We're glad to be here. We appreciate it. And we can relate.
Yeah, so just full transparency here. We are drinking, Mikey and I are drinking, surprisingly enough, we're drinking coffee. I need to say that real quick. We are drinking coffee, and instead of our own, my own blend, and Mikey usually drinks Dunkin'. We are drinking SillySips Coffee this morning that Josh and Kyle sent us. Thank you very much. And we also have swag.
Yes, we got swag.
We have swag. Shirts. I'm wearing my T-shirt. Mike is not wearing his T-shirt.
Oh, Brian.
Oh, Barista Brian. Look at him teeing up.
Oh, yeah. Look at the pour.
The SillySips Coffee. So fantastic. So, guys, hey, welcome. Looking forward. Our sessions are super casual. We don't really, sometimes we share experience, strength, and hope, but just really looking forward to connecting, learning about you guys, learning about SillySips, learning about Child Mind Institute,
right,
which is a benefit of the coffee program. So welcome.
Yeah, welcome aboard, man. Yeah. So how did this whole thing start? I see on your website it started out as friends, turned into a business, but you guys are friends? How do you go back a long ways?
We go back. Josh grew up, his real younger years in Toledo, Ohio, and I grew up in Southeast Michigan, so we're right there on the border of Ohio. Josh moved into district in 6th or 7th grade, and, we're going to be 37 years old this year, and we've been, best friends about since 7th or 8th grade when he moved into our district.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's been kind of rough, but,
That's fantastic.
That's right.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that was when we first met, and we've stayed close even when I went through the service and Josh was back home, and we always knew we wanted to do something together, because I don't know how you guys were in school growing up, but they preach this thing in school, like if you're not a 3.5 student, you're not going to be successful in life.
Yeah, right.
At least back when we were there. Don't go to college or, we took our own path to get where we are and both successful, obviously outside of SillySips, or it wouldn't have provided the opportunity.
Right. I had a .35. Does that, I was impressed.
Yeah, but didn't they round it up to a 1 for you?
They did round it up.
Yeah. I was talking to teachers like, hey, man, if you could give me a D so I could stay in basketball, that'd be great.
That's right. D is a passing grade. Absolutely.
That's awesome. So how long ago did SillySips start, and how did it start?
Well, this is a tough one because it probably started in the early conversations. Like when we started an LLC together, probably it was 2020 during COVID. But finding the niche and the right thing to do was always hard. We always knew we wanted to give back. And I was always very intrigued by the coffee for a couple of reasons. When I quit drinking, coffee became my main beverage. If I go to a party, if I go to a holiday party and everyone's drinking their drinks and beers, I'm having a coffee.
Yes,
so coffee became my go-to. So, and the other reason is because we are donating to Child Mind, but I always want to be very transparent with our followers. We do it for a profit too. I mean, we're not making a ton of profit on a bag of coffee, but it's certainly both. And so we wanted a product that people can really fall in love with, and you can buy it weekly, monthly, however you want, but it's not something, like a product that you're going to buy from me and you don't need another one for 5 years.
Right.
So that's really how SillySips started to come about. But I probably started really looking into it in October of 22. And Josh and I have very different mindsets. It's why we go together so well in business. Josh is a very analytical guy. He's going to break every number down to challenge me so that I know what makes sense and doesn't make sense from my crazy ideas. So when I thought of SillySips, I was like, I'm not letting anybody talk me out of this. I just started it. And then like 2 months in, I'm like, Josh, let's go. I got this thing going. Now I need you in to help me. And then we just took off with it. And it's been a lot of fun ever since.
Now, does Josh have a story of sobriety as well?
Yes.
Oh, that's excellent. So you guys both kind of have journeying that road together as well as this doing the coffee thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would say Labor Day of 2020 was the last real time I've drank. I was sober for about a year.
Nice.
From 2020 to 2021 Labor Day, and kind of fell off the wagon a few times since then, but it's been a good stretch here, and that's just trying to take it one day at a time. It's been, tough in some areas, but just trying to focus on, my family and this business, and it's really helps. And that's my story for right now. Just taking it one day, man, one day at a time.
Do you
great,
guys
Josh.
work some sort of a sober program or recovery program?
No, so that we don't do anything with that right now. But I mean, on our social media, there's a lot of like connections that we talk to as far as sobriety goes. The funny thing is, and I don't know if I'm getting off the beaten path here, but when you talk about recovery, there's so many different ways. And I've listened to your podcast, and if I remember right, did you guys both go into like a rehab facility?
Yes, we did. Yes.
Are we counting them or just saying?
Yeah. Well, I think the crazy thing is, like, I've looked into getting involved in one because I wouldn't recommend. I want anyone that's listening to know I would not recommend when you are physically addicted to alcohol, go somewhere when you if you make that decision to stop. Because I did it from my house.
Yes.
And I tried to wean myself off, like when I knew I was going to stop. But I'm like, I can't just stop. So I tried to slowly wean myself off, and I did. But it still was the most uncomfortable. Like, there were days I'm calling my dad. I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on. Like, I might have to go to the hospital.
Kyle,
tough,
Kyle, you could have died.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and that's what I read. And I'm like, man, I shouldn't have really done that. Now, obviously, I'm on the other side of it and going on 3 years sober in September, and I'm very happy. But I would not recommend anyone doing it the way I did it because it wasn't very smart, and I know that.
Thank you for getting through it though, and then coming out on the other side here, doing some good stuff with your life.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So let's chat about. Well, first of all, I have a baseline question. How do you pick your coffee? I mean, this is delicious. So How do you pick it? What about the branding? SillySips. Give a little more detail about that, and then give some detail about where folks can find you to order this coffee.
All right, so we work with a company out of California, Temecula Roasters, and they just had we pretty much tried a bunch of their coffees, see which ones you like the best. We obviously have 3 single origin and 3 blended varieties. You guys are drinking the Silly Brazilian, which is one of our medium roasts. And yeah, you can.
Well, the Silly Brazilian, so that's one of our single origin, our medium roast. So what we did was with Temecula in California, they allow you. There's a lot of people who allow you to, get into the coffee industry fairly quickly and easy. But we didn't want to do
kind of like a white labeling thing, right?
Yeah, and they just slap a label on, right?
Yep.
I didn't want to do that. Like my thing was, if you ask me if I sell coffee or if Josh and I sell coffee, my answer would probably be something like, yeah, it's part of what we do, but we sell a brand. We feel like we're much bigger than the coffee because people can buy coffee anywhere. And what they really want to see is a brand that they can relate to and they can engage with and they can understand.
Or an experience type thing.
Yeah, so that's really where it came about. So we tried all the coffees and we just kind of determined which ones we thought would be a good fit for us that we liked. And it also allows us the opportunity moving forward to throw out, when holidays come up, like we'll do a 4th of July blend, we'll do a Halloween, a Thanksgiving, a Christmas, and we can kind of pick and choose which ones we want, but we brand it how we want to brand it. And they've been outstanding to work with. And then the SillySips just came from, for one, I'm generally a real silly dude to talk to. So that's kind of where it started. But a lot of coffees, I get the feel that they do a lot of the same things. The bags are brown, they're black, they're very, proper, like elegance. And we're not like that because it's not really who we are. But the reality is everybody drinks coffee. Every demographic, everybody is drinking coffee. And so when we came up with the names of the... What's that?
Especially sober people drink a shit ton of coffee.
Exactly. Especially sober people.
He was real big about the bag thing, not just slapping a label on there. And me being the analytical guy, I'm looking at the bag cost, like, do we really need this? And he was pushing it. Like, yes, we need to do this. We need to stand out. This is our brand. We want to make this fun and, we want people to relate to this and just look at it and say, hey, let's have a good time. Let's enjoy life. And, so he was real big on that, and good thing because it looks great, and the bags all look great. And
the bag is great. The logo's great. I do have an issue with your logo that I wanted to point out, and it really didn't come from me. It came from our legal team, but you used the likeness of Glenn and myself in your logo.
That's not an accident, guys.
That's awesome.
Let's talk about something else after this here.
Yeah,
we're looking around. We're like, man, look at these guys.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so those that are driving along, when you park, go to SillySips, plural, coffee.com and check out their logo because it's absolutely Glenn and Mike.
We will sign the waivers.
That's right.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So let me switch gears to something a little more serious here. So, Child Mind Institute. Give us some high level or some medium deeper dive on them. Why'd you pick them? What's the benefit? What really tees you guys up to help support Child Mind Institute?
Well, the Child Mind came from, first of all, Child Mind is an organization that supports kids and provides resources and tools for children that struggle with mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, bipolar, ADHD. The list goes on, really. The reason I chose Child Mind, and Josh and I talked about it, was for my personal experience, and I know Josh can relate as well, is when I was younger, and I was a kid in the 90s, and even then in the 90s, like having anxiety as a child, it wasn't ever diagnosed. No. It was like, this is just a kid,
Kid acting weird.
So, and as I got older, so what happens is I get introduced to alcohol through, probably my latter years of high school and after high school. And what does alcohol do? It curbs the anxiety.
Right.
So you wake up the next morning, right? But somewhere along the line, my anxiety, I literally self-medicated with alcohol to help anxiety,
Sure.
which ultimately led me down a darker path than I could have ever imagined in my entire life.
Exactly.
And it all stemmed from that simple anxiety of where I felt probably better than most people when I drank, because it took that anxiety away from me. Whereas if someone that doesn't have anxiety or something different in their chemical makeup drinks, probably doesn't do that for them. So that's why the child mind was important to me, because I do believe that a lot of substance abuse, like what we have gone through, that a lot of that stems from things like that, a depression or an anxiety. And I'm like, man, this is just hits home for me, because you can really save someone's life by getting ahead of it early on.
Right. So is the Child Mind Institute, I mean, is that like a physical building with the Child Mind Institute on it that people go to? Is it a website, which is a resource? Is it like a hotline?
Yeah, it's two physical locations. There's one in California near San Francisco, and it's in San Mateo, and there's one in New York City, Manhattan. So they are physical locations where people take their children and they actually meet with, doctors, and they get help. Like, they are physical locations. So yeah, I mean, it's just your regular organization where kids can go there with their parents and visit and get the help that they need.
And they are a nonprofit organization.
I'm sorry, I think Josh said something. I kind of missed that.
Oh, they're nonprofit.
Nonprofit.
So Child Mind's nonprofit. So yeah, all the stuff, and just kind of building on what Kyle was saying about why we chose that. I had issues as well. Single mother stuff, not growing up with a lot of money, just having a lot of pressure on me growing up and having a lot of expectations. So I mean, that led to the alcohol, and just we could have used the help like that when we were younger, especially me, I think. So it just really hits home, and it's a good organization, and I'm glad to support it, man.
Yeah, I'll never forget, and as this relates to recovery and my mental illness, right? I'll never forget sitting on my back deck with my sister, and she's trying to get to the root of what my problem is, right? Because I'm intoxicated, but yet still functioning. And I remember sitting there just in a dark kind of place and trying to explain to her that the drinking is but a symptom. I mean, you don't understand. It's what's going on inside my head, right? And
exactly.
And boy, if somebody could have broached that when I was younger, who knows how my life would have turned out?
And it's just one of those things that, like, all it does, and I mean, it's very simple stuff. Like, it eases pain, and it's a disease that eases pain to where, like, you just feel better from whatever you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part I really just couldn't stand with alcohol, and this is one thing I want to get bigger on as we grow, is there's always like this stigma. Like, how many times you hear someone like, oh, he's a drunk, he's an alcoholic. I'm like, well, clearly there's more to that person than that.
Right.
But you can label them as that. But unless you've walked that line or understand what it's like, you need to be careful labeling people, because I think Josh and I are both good people. I'm sure you guys are good people. We fell into a bad situation.
Well, Mike is.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, so like, I think the stigma too with it makes it hard on people to open up. But as I got older, and I was 34 when I quit drinking, I remember seeing my daughter at 2 years old through like the foggiest eyes, and I just said, I'm grown, like, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. Everybody's got problems, and I just told the world, all my buddies, everybody, I'm quitting drinking. I'm a raging alcoholic. And this has to stop, or I'm going to die young, and some other man's going to be dancing with my daughter at the daddy-daughter dance.
Wow, that's motivation for you.
Mm.
So those are the things that were going through my head. And there's a lot of dark nights laying down, like going to bed.
Right. But like you said, I mean, the beautiful thing about the Child Mind Institute for me is that they're addressing this. It's an avenue for kids, families to go to, so some of these issues are addressed, so they don't end up with a 3-year-old daughter wondering who's going to dance with them at their wedding, right? Just working through these mental health issues.
For sure. And they also, Child Mind is like, it's very popular when we search to which nonprofit we want to donate to, but they have a lot of famous people are involved with them too, celebrities. Like Michael Phelps is a big supporter of the Child Mind. Emma Stone sits on the board of directors at Child Mind. Simone Biles has been involved with them. So they've got a lot of people that are involved with the Child Mind. So it's pretty cool.
Kyle and Josh are now involved.
Yeah,
with
real famous people.
Real celebrities.
Give us a year or two.
Awesome. So for our listeners who, I'm assuming 99.8 of them love coffee.
Yep, I agree.
SillySips coffee.com. We can endorse the flavors.
Yeah,
delicious.
good stuff.
We're sitting there enjoying it. They have some SillySips swag on their site also.
Do you have decaf too?
What?
I know. What's the point?
What?
Yeah, right. You're talking to two recovering alcoholics.
come on.
right.
We don't
What's this
half-ass
decaf
stuff over here.
All right, good, awesome.
This is decaf stuff, but
We do
it's
have
great coffee, great cause.
Yeah, good
guys,
stuff.
thanks for reaching out. We say we're very good at saying no, but we love the opportunity to connect. We wish you well in your sobriety. Keep that journey going. Just to let you know, I actually had Daddy-Daughter Dance in 2022, and it was worth every bit of the Sober Pass. So
That's awesome.
amen to that.
Amen.
And really appreciate the privilege of connecting with you guys, and we wish you the best. Hope you guys sell 1 million bags in 2023.
Thank you so much, and maybe we can join you again down the road.
Love it, man.
Sounds great. Keep
guys.
doing the
Thank
good.
you.
Keep up the good work, guys.
All right, guys.
All right, I appreciate
Take care,
you.
man.
Take
Bye,
care. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for the coffee.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@Sober.Coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.